everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how to achieve this neutral toned silvery smoky eye. I use the term smoky very loosely, it's just very soft and diffused. So I'm going to move straight onto skin. I've got sunscreen on already and I'm going to go straight in with foundation. This is the Revealer foundation by Kosas. This was actually gifted to me, so I'm using the foundations that I often get which don't always entirely match my skin tone. In the summer it's not always a problem because if your body is tanned you can usually match your face to your body, which I always tend to do. The PR companies that send products often have your skin tone on file, and usually we get a lot of things sent throughout the summer, and this foundation would definitely look better once I start to get some colour to my skin. So I'm going to show you a little trick. Obviously my skin on my chest is a little bit redder, so I'm going to take my Flash palette by Makeup Forever, and I'm taking the red tone with a tiny hint of blue in it, and I'm also going to take a small amount of white, and I'm just going to blend this straight onto the foundation that I've already applied. If you are ever going to try this, I would recommend applying it when you are about to apply foundation at the same time because the mixing is a lot easier. I'm just going to mix this straight onto the foundation I've already applied just to show you how it just transforms that yellow tone to match the redness in my skin on my chest. I'm then going to use what's left in my beauty blender to bounce that over the top, and it will just soften everything and it will just look a lot more seamless. This is by no means perfect, but it's a great way to quickly transform a foundation that you've already applied that doesn't necessarily work with your skin tone. It's a good idea to look at the colour wheel when you're doing this in order to be able to work out what colours you need to use to adjust your foundation. I'm actually not going to bother to apply it over my nose. I will do my forehead and my chin. It's definitely more ideal to apply those adjusters as you start your foundation. When you get sent a lot of products, you don't want them to go to waste. This is just a quick way for me to try and make the best of a foundation that doesn't necessarily match. I've pulled this out of my professional kit. You can get this at any MAC store. This is called the Art Library Nude model. This is 12 pigmented eyeshadows in a neutral finish, so this is great for pretty much everybody. It also comes in a mix of matte and shimmer tones. The first shade I'm using is called Sandstone. This is a matte finish. It's a warm toned light medium taupe shade. I've buffed a light coat of that through the socket. Then I'm going to take a mix of these two shades here to add a soft highlight to the brow bone. The lightest shade is called Shroom, which is a warm toned, very light beige. It has a frost finish, so it works really well if you blend it in with your finger. I didn't want this to be too stark on this area and on the inner corner, so I've mixed it with a shade that's a light brown in a matte finish. To create some shape to the outer corner, I'm going to use the acetate sheet that comes with the shade names in from the palette, and I'm using this as a guide to brush off of. This will help to create a very lifted look, and I'm keeping this perpendicular to the highest point of the socket. This is going to create a more almond shape finish to the eyes. Because we're using a very light brown, it's a very soft finish. If you wanted this to be more intense, you could use a darker brown, but I really like doing this with a light shadow so that it gives shape, but it's not over the top or it doesn't draw too much attention to this area. It's a nice way to add an illusion of a lifted eye. I'm also taking that same matte colour and applying it to the outer third of the mobile lid, so not just through the socket but also on that outer edge, and then when we're going with the next eyeshadow it will blend over the top and soften the seam between the two eyeshadows. The next eyeshadow I'm going to use is more of a pewter colour. It does have a slight warm goldy undertone to it, but the overall finish is definitely more silvery from a distance. So that's why I've referred to this eyeshadow tutorial as more of a silvery finish, because I do like to mix this shade with a tiny bit of Shroom so that the gradient between the highlight on the inner corner and the colour on the lid just is a bit more seamless, and it does end up making this look slightly more silvery. But now that I've mentioned that it's more pewter and slightly gold, you can see that in it. If you're somebody that has quite hooded lids and you prefer to stay away from eyeliner of all types, then you can totally skip this step. I am intentionally keeping it very soft. I'm taking the shade Dancing in the Dark from the palette, which is a deep charcoal brown. It has a cool undertone to it. It is matte, but that's not going to matter because we're blending it on top of a shimmery metallic, so it will give a slightly metallic finish to it. I'm using this shade on a pointy brush by Anastasia Beverly Hills just to enhance the lifted finish to the eye on the outer corner, and then that is getting smaller and smaller as it gets to the root of the eyelashes towards the centre of the eyelid. I'm then going to use what's left on the bristles to pull that colour towards the inner corner of the eye, again super close to the root of the eyelashes. This is just to help make the lash line look fuller. Once you've taken that colour all the way along, go back in with your blending brush and just soften over this so that it blends into the eyeshadows that are already on the lid. As we do with most eyeshadow looks, we're going to frame the eye, so we're going to start with the lightest shade that we already applied, which is Sandstone, and we're going to take that underneath our lower eyelash line, followed by Dancing in the Dark closer to the root of our bottom lashes, and then taking that most of the way across. I'm applying the Huda Beauty Creamy Coal halfway along the waterline. If you have particularly small eyes, use a flesh toned pencil instead. Next up, I'm going to use these Falscara eyelashes. These are the Lengthening Wispies. You can get this in a starter kit as shown here, so if you're new to it, you'll get the tweezers, you'll get the glue and the eyelashes. I'm actually applying these underneath my top lash line with Duo Glue, which is the ordinary lash glue that you'd use with a strip, because when I take this off at the end of the day, I want to be able to easily remove that glue. So allow this to go tacky for a few seconds, and then you can look down into a mirror, place this underneath your natural lashes and just give it a little tug as it catches the root of your eyelashes, and this is how it should look. I then like to go in with some mascara. I like to make these a little bit more spiky and have that mascara look. It will also help to secure the falsies to the length of my natural eyelashes. In case you're wondering, the mascara I'm using is by Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Push Up mascara. It's really, really lovely. I like this one for working with falsies because it has a nice pointy end to it. So you'll see that I'm using the base of the wand to coat all of my lashes at the root, and then I'm using a tip to coat the lower eyelashes as well as the length of the false ones. These lashes look so pretty. Moving back onto the skin, I have a very exciting product. This is the Bondi Belle, which is the sister to the Nude Sticks Bondi Bay, which you guys know I rave about. This is for lighter skins, fairer skins, those of you that find that this pulls too warm or too orange when you're using Bondi Bay. This colour is going to be much more suited to you. You can see how creamy it is, how easily it blends out with a beauty blender or a brush or your fingers. It also has a brush on the opposite side. I will leave my discount code for you guys on screen now if you want to get 10% off nudesticks.com. They do ship worldwide. I'm going to brighten underneath my eyes a little bit and also clean up using my Trinny London BFF concealer. This is like a serum concealer. It is the most effective concealer if you have fine lines and wrinkles. This will not settle into fine lines and wrinkles. It has the most amazing consistency, so it just doesn't crease and it just doesn't enhance or dry out your fine lines or texture. This is the one that's converted me to use on a daily basis when I feel like I need a little bit of concealer. I'm just going to press over that with some finishing powder by Charlotte Tilbury. This really does give an airbrush finish to the face. And then I'm going to pop on a small amount of blush, also by Nude Sticks. I've chosen the shade Nude Buff today because I wanted something a little bit more neutral that would go with the rest of the face. As you can see, it's got a brownie undertone to it. You can see it goes nicely with the eyeshadows that we've applied. If you're concerned about which undertone you are, whether you should be wearing cool eyeshadows or warm eyeshadows, just stick down the middle with neutral. You can't really go wrong. I'm also applying Nude Buff onto my lips, and as you can see, this is the finished result. This is great if you have a special occasion to attend, especially if it's a day event, but you still want to make it look like you've made an effort and it will carry you through to the evening. Thank you so much for watching. I will list and link all the products and discount codes in the description bar. Don't forget to come follow me outside of YouTube over on Instagram. Hit subscribe here on YouTube if you are new to my channel. My name is Shonagh Scott, and I will see you in a few days with a new tutorial. Bye guys!